Good morning. How's the sound? A little high? Move this down a little bit. I'm Brian Habacivich. How's that? I'm Brian Habacivich. I'm Senior Vice President for Fellow McCord & Associates. And we are an energy management and consulting practice in Louisville, Kentucky. We have about 100 employees. We manage a portfolio of spend on behalf of industrial consumers of energy of about $14 billion. So we're the outsourced procurement agent. We buy their power, we buy their natural gas, and we manage all their forward price risk for about 140 companies globally. And we've been in business for about 20 years. I am in charge of the risk side of the business in terms of managing price risk for large industrial consumers, companies like Heinz and Caterpillar and others who employ us to manage all their power spend and their natural gas spend and manage all the price risk and the supplier contracts involved. I'm going to move very quickly this morning in a topic that covers the span of what I'm going to call Fortress America. Fortress America is a title that I think resounds true in the notion that America is an energy giant. We are an energy giant. We're the most energy-rich country in the world. We don't act like it, but we are. And I'm going to show you something called the Shale Revolution. Now, many of you are probably somewhat familiar with it, have heard about it. How many people have heard of the Shale Revolution? Yeah, quite a bit. It's very much in the news, is it not? Governor Perry's coming out today with his energy plan. It's on the front page of USA Today, I believe, this morning. The Journal's carrying it. And so energy is very much in the forefront. But I don't think a lot of people understand exactly where America fits in terms of where we are in terms of oil and natural gas production, coal and natural gas coal production, the reserves that we have, and how that stacks up against others in the world. And importantly, the Shale Revolution is one of the most important developments in U.S. history in terms of manufacturing and our economy in the last 100 years. The Shale Revolution is one of the most profound developments that is occurring right under our feet right now in real time, and it has enormous implications for our global competitiveness and for our energy stability and for our national security. It is a profound development, and everyone should know something about it. So I'm going to roll right into this. What we do, okay, shale gas, from rags to riches. 2001, we produced 53.7 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day. And we had the successive decline over the next 5 or 6 years, producing less and less natural gas. This, at the time, in 2001, was the all-time peak production. So we had been, for years and years, ramping up and growing, and then peaked out, and then we started to decline. At the same time that we were declining, again, here's the 53.7 billion cubic feet per day of natural gas production, 2001, you see that? At the same time we were beginning this decline, we were cranking up the drilling activity. So the rig count went from 570 gas-directed rigs in 1998, almost tripling, in fact tripling practically, to 1,372 rigs. But while we were drilling like crazy, while we had tripled the amount of drill bits going into the ground, we were producing less. Uh-oh, problem, right? And the same thing is going on in the wellhead productivity. So here's wellhead productivity. It's getting worse over time as we're drilling like crazy, and again, producing less and less gas year over year. And again, here's the same 53.7 billion cubic feet per day over here. The decline in production and the price level quadruples over a very short period of time. So price is reflecting scarcity. The price signal is the most important thing in our markets. Price signal tells us what to do. Price signal tells us if something really scarce or not. Price signal is the guiding feature of any market. So the narrative was 2001 through 2006, is the U.S. running out of natural gas? Your Time Magazine, The Economist, and the headlines were, gas is what we need to worry about, not peak oil. We're peaking out in gas. Energy Secretary warns of natural gas shortages. High heating costs are coming. So that's the narrative. We're running out. We're getting scarce. Things are getting tight. And that's reflected in wellhead decreasing productivity, rising prices, falling production, and going great guns to produce this stuff and not getting more of it. And so all those signals are sending us a message that we're running out of natural gas. So the narrative in 2006, the conventional wisdom was that gas production, here's 2001 again, peaking out, would fall forever, and then we would continue to consume more in the future, and the gap between falling production and rising demand would be met with liquid natural gas from overseas, predominantly from the Middle East. And so, in order to buttress that conventional wisdom and to show you that big bets were made because that's the conventional wisdom that was in fact in place, we went from 4 LNG import terminals that were all built in the 1970s By 2006, we still had those terminals, those 4 terminals that were built in the 1970s, and suddenly we have a whole bunch of new terminals get built by 2011. And the capacity of those terminals, we quadrupled our capacity to bring in natural gas. So clearly, the market said, hey, we're running out of gas. We're not going to produce any more in the future. We're going to produce less. We're going to need more, and we're going to have to import the difference. And so billions of dollars were placed in regasification terminals on the coast of the United States. And now, today, we can import 17.54 billion cubic feet per day of natural gas. Now, here's some numbers. So what does that mean? Is that a lot? Is that a little? Well, that's about that's about a third of our total consumption that we can import. So we built out enormous capacity to bring in a lot of gas because we thought we were going to need a lot of gas. Coincidentally, practically all of the imports that are coming in today are being re-exported. The cargoes are being turned around for re-export. We had almost all of them are being re-exported under re-export license to higher value markets. But the point being that we were running out of gas. I showed you the reasons why there was a reasonable belief that that was the case, and that the response to that was regasification, LNG imports. Suddenly, 2007 now, through 2000, there's a major shift. The headlines are now, natural gas suddenly abundant is cheaper. Shale gas finally looks big. We're running out of space to put unwanted natural gas. We're drowning in it. Sea change. Think about it. The hydrocarbons market, the hydrocarbons development in the United States is the oldest hydrocarbons market in the world. There's no piece of real estate that's had more holes drilled in it, has been seismically tested more than the United States of America. And suddenly you go from, we're running out to, in a period of 3 years basically, 36 months. 3 summers ago, natural gas was $15.50 a million BTU on the NYMEX. What is it this morning? $3.50. It went from almost $15 a unit to $3.50 a unit. Yesterday, you could buy 1 year's worth of natural gas for $3.92. It hasn't been that low in 10 years. We're at 10-year lows in natural gas pricing. And by the way, natural gas is electric power. Every marginal kilowatt that gets dispatched to the grid anywhere in the United States comes from a natural gas-fired power plant. So natural gas prices control the price of electric power. Electric power prices have also collapsed. We're hearing about, oh, energy prices are rising because people look at their gas pump. But what they haven't been looking at is their utility bills. And your energy prices from 2008 have collapsed. They're way down. Why? Because natural gas prices collapsed. And natural gas prices are power prices on the margin. Okay, so what happened? Well, now production is, here's 2001, the peak, now the successive declines, we're running out. Oh, well, we're not running out. We're producing more gas than we ever imagined that we could. And the big turnaround is 3 years. Remember 3 years ago, $15, now it's $3. That's a sea change event, and it has enormous implications for manufacturing. Also, natural gas liquids, very important part of this consideration. What are natural gas liquids? When you drill a natural gas well, you get methane, and then you get some liquids that come out. What are the liquids? Ethane, isobutane, normal butane, and propane predominantly, and some natural gasoline. Ethane is the building block for all petrochemicals, as is isobutane and normal butane. Those things are giving us a major competitive advantage in the petrochemicals industry. And the entire petrochemicals industry has changed its narrative from scarcity. We're going away. 3 years ago, if you went into Georgia Gulf Chemicals offices, they would have said, yeah, the future isn't here. The future's in the Middle East. So we're going to pack up everything over time, and we're going to move it all over there. If you've gone to DuPont or Dow, same thing, same story. Now what's the story? They're building stuff here. Why are they building it here? Dow's plunked in $1 billion of on-demand polypropylene. A greenfield project. When was the last Dow greenfield project was built in the United States? I'm going to say 35 years ago. Georgia Gulf Chemical and Bayer and Shell are all looking to build an ethane cracking in western Pennsylvania and West Virginia. Why? The Marcellus Shale. We need to crack the ethane out of that gas because the heat content's too high. The petrochemicals building blocks are what the stream from the natural gas production. Look at the NGL's production. Look at the NGL, how much more natural gas liquids we're producing. That's the feedstock for petrochem, and that's the feedstock for the building blocks of industry. And there's enormous amounts of investment that are being made right now in the United States betting that we're going to have an abundance of natural gas liquids and methane, and that will spur a lot of economic development. In fact, it is spurring a lot of economic development. Look at Ohio. We're building a $1 billion tube steel mill in Youngstown. We haven't built a new $1 billion steel mill in Youngstown, Ohio in 50 years. But now we're building one. Why? Because we need rolled tube for hydraulic fracturing. We need miles and miles and miles of wellhead casing. It's coming from Timken Corporation, Sharon Steel. It's coming out of Youngstown. These investments are being made because of the Shale Revolution. The Shale Revolution has enormous amounts of direct employment and indirect employment implications for the United States economy. Natural gas power prices are correlated. Here, it's a very important message I want to show you here. Here's 2005 through 2010. Natural gas prices are in red, and PJM, this is the power market in Pennsylvania, Jersey, Maryland. I could make this chart for any ISO in the country, whether it's ERCOT, Texas, you name it, but the same relationship holds. Natural gas prices peak out, they fall, and what happened to power prices? Same thing, because power and natural gas are tied on the margin. The price of natural gas controls the price of electric power. Natural gas is power. Very important consideration, because electric power is an enormous part of an economy. And when you think about cheap, reliable supplies of power, you must be thinking natural gas. And the Shale Revolution has changed the discussion. Look at the price of power, $120 a megawatt hour, and now we're down to, on the wholesale basis of $45. You know what that means for an economy? It means a lot to manufacturing. It means a lot to individuals. It's an enormous game changer. Natural gas sets the price on the margin. So here's the grid. How much of the grid, how much of your light bulb where does your power come from? Electric power is the source of a modern economy. Coal is 45%, gas is 23%. Gas is the second largest input into the grid. Nuclear is holding steady at 20%. 7% is hydro, and 4% is renewables. All right, so how do we stack up in the global energy picture? Industrial power prices, for instance, in the United States are significantly lower than most developed countries and most of our undeveloped competitors. China's energy prices are much higher than ours. We have a competitive advantage in the price of electric power and the price of energy. A Ricardian competitive advantage. Classic David Ricardo competitive advantage in power. Most people aren't aware. China has very low price. No, China has very high energy prices, and they just tacked on a very large 25% nearly increase, and they're taxing their energy that just passed this week. And so their energy prices are rising rapidly. Ours are falling. Our energy prices are really falling. And I could talk about gasoline prices too, but I'm not going to talk about, I don't have enough time this morning. But oil production by country, how do we stack up? Oil production, okay, Russia, Saudi Arabia, the United States, we're the third largest oil producer in the world, the third, not the 20th. I mean, if you just woke up yesterday and you've been reading the headlines of the USA Today all your life, you'd probably go, well, we don't produce any oil in America, do we? Or we're number 50 maybe. Kuwait's way big. No, we're number 3. And we're moving into number 2 very quickly, by the way. I'll show you that. The Shale Revolution has enormous implications for oil. The Shale Revolution in natural gas has enormous implications for petroleum. And it's about to start changing things in a very big way. It's already doing it. You probably don't even know about it, but it's happening right now. We're the third largest producer of oil in the world. Crude reserves. When you put ANWR and OCS in there, and we haven't even accounted for shale in this discussion, but we're the 4th largest reserve holder, not the 20th, the 4th. We're not number 20. We're number 4 in that. We're number 3 in the production. Let's take a look at natural gas production. We're actually at 63.5 billion cubic feet per day. But the point here is that we're the largest, by far, the largest gas producer in the world. Look at everyone else after you get through 1 or 2 or 3 of these guys, right? We're giant. We're King Kong in natural gas. We're not number 20. We're number 1. And we're growing rapidly. Potential world gas reserves, this is all over the place. There are estimates now in the shale that say we have 4,000 trillion cubic feet. We don't believe that, fell in the court. But the point here is that we went from about a proved reserve ratio of about 200 trillion cubic feet. We use about 23, 24 trillion cubic feet per year. Give you some idea about if you have 1,000 trillion cubic feet, you use about 25 a year. Okay, starting to make sense to you now? All of you are numerate, and so the point here is that we're number 2, probably moving on to number 1 pretty quickly with the Shale Revolution. I mean, we're adding new reserves every hour practically. The numbers are getting bigger by the minute practically, and it's really true. If you're in the industry, it's an astounding story as to where the proved reserve numbers keep going and the new estimates, and they're all going to the upside, not to the downside. World coal production. Well, we're the 2nd largest coal producer in the world. China's number 1, okay? So we produce the 2nd. So we're not number 40, we're the 2nd largest. Coal reserves, we're the King Kong of coal. We have 240-year supply, a 240-year supply of proved reserves of coal at the current rate of consumption. That's older than the Republic. 240. We're the giant in the world. When you add up the BTU value of our coal, oil, and natural gas, we are the most energy-rich country in the world by far. Not even close. We don't act like it. It doesn't feel like it, but we are. It's indisputable. Now, the Shale Revolution in natural gas is an astounding event. It is a game changer. It's the ultimate mulligan for the petrochemicals industry in this country. It's a huge... What's the unemployment rate in North Dakota? Does anyone know? It's not even 3. It's 0. They're 18,000 jobs short on the skilled trade side, from what I talked with some people just yesterday at the National Association of Manufacturers in Washington. Guys from North Dakota, it's not 3%. It's negative 3%, right? It's a good place to go if you need a job. Why is it so low? The Bakken Shale, the oil shale revolution is underway in North Dakota. So let's take a look at that, what that means. So here we have look at U.S. crude production. Look, we're increasing here, right? Came down. We've been going down and down and down for years. Suddenly there's this directional shift. It's coincident with the shale gas revolution. Look at the gas going down, right? Remember that I showed you? And then 2001 peaks at 53.7, and it keeps going down. And then suddenly there's a reversal, and then natural gas production does this big upswing, right? Look what's going on with oil. Oil is lagging the natural gas shale revolution on the production side, but it's the next big thing. North Dakota is producing 500,000 barrels of oil a day. North Dakota 4 years ago was producing no barrels practically. I mean, yes, a couple thousand, nothing from scratch. Now it's 500,000 barrels. At the current trajectory, maybe 1 million barrels a year in four more years. That's starting to put it on par like Libya, right? In North Dakota. Now you start thinking about the wealth implications of that. But the point is that the shale revolution in natural gas made natural gas go from here to here almost overnight. And now look at, there's a similar reaction, and these things are related. This is North Dakota's oil production, just to give you, look at that. Now, hockey stick projections in economics are always dangerous, but they almost never deal with the supply side like this. They almost deal with like the oil price projection. Goldman Sachs, $400 a barrel. At the current rate of increase the last week, 10 weeks from now, the oil will be $400 a barrel, right? And the presumption is that no one will ever do anything about that. Like, well, I'll just keep paying. If it's $100 a gallon, I'll just, I won't change my behavior at all. I'm just going to doggone it. And here's my house. I gotta fill up the truck. No one's going to ever change their behavior, right? I mean, all these presumptions about the price signal tells us some things, right? It tells us to stop using something. When you look at water economics, for instance, I'm always I lived in New Hampshire for 11 years, and every summer we had a drought notice. A drought notice. Oh yeah, and they'd come around the neighborhood with a bullhorn. The police would come, and you could tell who the cheaters were, right? Because they had a green lawn. Right? Everybody has a green lawn. It's cheating, And meanwhile, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it cost me $1,000 to recover the lawn, but it's going to cost me $1,000 for water. So it's kind of like, hey, I probably should cheat, right? But if all they had to do to stop the drought, all they had to do is say, okay, we have calculated the average amount of water for a household of 5. Okay, we have calculated the average amount of water for a household of 5. It's this amount. So here's how much you can use as much water as you normally would to take a shower and flush the toilet and do the things you need to do. But the next 20,000 gallons after that are going to cost you 4 times as much as the first 100,000 gallons. And the next 1,000 gallons after that are going to cost you $1 a gallon. And the next 1,000 after that is going to cost you $5 a gallon. So blow your brains out and water the lawn. Right? Go ahead. Now, the cheaters would suddenly stop cheating as they got their first water bill. Right? $40,000 to keep the lawn green. Now I can make an economic decision. I'll let the lawn go. I'll pay $1,000 to recover it in the spring because it's costing me too much to water the lawn. So the price signal, all the water companies across the country have to do is use price signals and intelligence and tell their customers what's going on, and people will conserve because people will change their behavior. But this isn't one of those hockey stick projections that's going to go bust here, because this is oil production. And there's a huge incentive to find oil because the price is relatively high still. So my last part of this is very simple. The shale revolution is a game changer in our country. It has, just think about the national security implications, which I haven't even begun to discuss. Energy security. We're an energy-rich island in a world of turmoil. Suddenly, the narrative of shipping the petrochemicals industry to the Middle East in the teeth of what's going on over there just on the political and social side doesn't seem so good, let alone that our pricing of our power and our natural gas and our feedstocks is very competitive globally at this point. And the Shale Revolution didn't happen because of a blue ribbon commission that got together in Washington or a plan. There was no planning. Okay, we need an energy plan. We need an energy. Okay, we've had innumerable energy plans in my lifetime, and most of them have major unintended consequences and have done nothing to promote energy. So the Shale Revolution had no plan. There was no planning. There was no commission. What happened was prices got very high, as I showed you. 2000 through 2007, 8, natural gas prices went high, quadrupled. And producers, as they saw prices quadruple, made it their business to find a lot of this stuff. And what they did was they produced themselves down to $3.50 from $15. So high prices and classic old-fashioned chasing profits created a state of tremendous abundance and have completely changed the energy narrative from scarcity to abundance. And the next step for us is we're going to export natural gas out of the United States. And that's happening right now. We have 2 export licenses that have been issued in the U.S., one at Cove Point, which is a major natural gas receipt point, and another one at Sabine Pass in Texas. And about 36 months to build the thing, and we will be in a position to export natural gas. What a change of events. And all of it happened because of free market economics, price signals, people chasing profits, and changing scarcity to great abundance, and doing it in 3 years, not 30. It's my discussion this morning, and there is time for questions? Or?
I think we're a little bit
yes,
behind,
I'm sure.
So we'll, are you staying for lunch?
Yes.
So we'll be able to talk to you.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.